All right, sports fans, we're here with our 1959 Sorg 15 Runabout named Willow. We've pulled her out of the hire garage today to rinse off all the dirt that's accumulated between the trip up here and sitting around for a few months, and get another rinse on her to get some of that Florida gunk off of her. But what we like to do when we bring the boat back, it's been out in the water for a while, is just a quick rinse. And what we focus on when we're rinsing is this is a Lapstrake boat, and you can see all of the little plank edges on the inside, and we want to rinse off any kind of sand or dirt or whatever we picked up out there goofing around, messing about. So let me spin you around here so you can see where things can accumulate on that little ledge. Yep, point here with finger. Where's it at? Going. I don't know where it is. Oh, there it is. That little ledge right there. And especially important as you get down into the bilge. We've got a bunch of slats, a bunch of Lapstrake planks, keelson, and if you let detritus, flotsam, and jetsam accumulate there, it traps water. It doesn't let the water flow, and it just sits there in that wood when you put your boat away, and can start rot, and you don't want that. So just like any other boat, we know it's going to get water in it. We just want to make sure it's got a clear path to work its way back towards the bilge, where it can either go out a drain plug or a bilge pump, or when we're done with the cleanup, we can suck it out with a cordless wet dry vac. And these things work great because you can take, not have to worry about electrocuting yourself. Take it and just get down in there into each one of these individual little areas, and get not only that area right there, but also where the water goes underneath this rib. There's supposed to be a gap there. We're pointing with this little crevice tool, and if you get some kind of leaf or bug or piece of baby reef candy bar or whatever gets stuck in there, then that water gets trapped, and once again you can get rot going. So if we're out riding around, every now and then we'll put the bow up a little bit, turn on the bilge pump, pump some stuff out. To our back here, we just raise the jack on the trailer and get her bow up and let everything run to the back to the transom bilge area. And some of it will go out of this fancy little drain plug, but it's up higher than the lowest point, so a lot of it ends up water, junk, etc., sitting under that knee, the little curved part, and can if it sits there for too long, it's going to cause issues. And some of the things you may see down there, there's some type of sealant adhesive that the previous people put in there, and they also use Cetal, so some of that's been 2014. Oh, I got to do math. Coming up on 8-9 years, so it's reached the end of its service life. Varnish is peeling in some areas, which is helpful because there'll be less sanding to do. So we need to get in there, clean up some of the varnish and put in a new, or actually he used Cetal. He did clean that off and put on a new coat that we like the color. I mean, that's kind of a magic finger representation of the color right there. It was a Cetal clear, I believe, that worked. So we'll just stick with the same thing that's already on there to reduce incompatibility issues. So that's some maintenance you need to think about if you got a Lapstrake or other wooden boats. Is don't let that water hide in faraway places that you can't see with a bunch of organic matter, and it just has a little party in there. So today we pulled the boat out. We got some fresh gasoline, cranked the motor, ran it for a bit, made sure everything's operating properly, impeller's pumping water, and it's ready to go. And when we store the boat, these tanks fit underneath that middle seat real nice, but when we store it, we like to pull them out so that airflow can circulate back in there. We don't like things laying directly on these little ribs. Could be, you know, water trapped underneath them or something. And along that same vein, this battery box used to sit directly on the ribs in the bottom. But today we cut out a few pieces of teak and made a little stand that elevates it, spreads the load of the battery out a little bit more over those ribs, and gives it another 1.5 inch, probably about 2.5, 3 inches of clearance to promote airflow back there. Make sure that little plastic bottom of that battery box is not sitting directly on that wood and trapping water. So what else did we do today? Oh, we took some of these little clips, little zip ties, took a few of these anchors here, and we spin you around. Had a few of them, a couple come loose. There was about 3 on here total to hold this cable and wire bundle. This is all your control linkage and your throttle, and for your steering, everything running back. And Gary made it look real nice and neat, and we just added a few more of these and reattached 1 or 2 that come loose during the 900-mile trailer ride, and we'll go back and trim off the ends of this zip tie. But you just screw the anchor in and then take your zip tie and go around, because, you know, vibration is just going to cause accelerated wear on those components. And they're not strapped down tight. They're just kind of, you can wiggle it, you can move it, but it's not bouncing up and down when you're trailing or bobbing around on the bay. So I think that's about things we did today. Those of you thinking about getting an old Lapstrake or an old wooden Runabout and converting it, can look at our blog, smallboatrestoration.blogspot.com, and search for Willow, and it'll give you some ideas, some things you want to think about when you're getting your boat ready. One of the things we did was we had a custom trailer made for it. Eddie English Trailers in Milton, Florida, made a beautiful trailer, and it's a couple of features. It's got the drop frame so you can launch in lower water. And the most important feature really is where the bunks come back all the way to the transom, so you don't get transom sag. It supports the boat. And you underneath the stringer and the keel, and you can see a couple little plugs right there. And then when you come up inside the boat, those are the screws on this stringer right here that runs probably at least 10 feet of this 15-foot boat. And that's the backbone right there. And so you want to bunk underneath that when you're going down the road. And the reason you want it under your transom is because this, however much this motor weighs, I don't know, but it's not light. Sitting there in your yard, your garage, wherever, when it's not being used, all that weight's, well, even when it's in the water, all that weight's right there on that transom. So whether you're trailing or storing, you want that weight supported on the transom and not cantilevered off of some place up forward in the hull. Also for trailering, we put on this little Transom Saver. Keeps the motor from bouncing up and down, even though the motor does have electric tilt, so it's really not going to bounce too much anyway, but that also kind of prevents wear on the motor components as well. Tie downs, you want your hull secured to your trailer, so if you do hit a big bump, everything moves together. The boat doesn't fly up and then come bashing back down on the bunks, which will damage both your boat and your trailer. So well, I guess I missed a little bit of the some of the goop that's been floating around in the air out here. I have to wipe that up. Other features, let's see, LED trailer lights. They have to be on the trailer, and we've also added them to the guidepost. So folks that are driving behind you in their smart car, reading a book and not paying attention, these lights come on. Maybe that'll get their attention. Put them up high where they can be seen instead of being hidden kind of down on the road underneath the boat. And these guideposts themselves are great for putting the boat on the trailer to keep it from, especially if it's got kind of a shallow keel, keep it from sliding left and right when you want to be done for the day and not have to wrestle the boat. And we added a second set on here because at one point we had a boat lift. This boat stayed on the lift, and we would use this trailer to carry sunfish around, and we would attach a couple of cross bunks here and back here, and we carry one boat on the bunks. Turns out a 14-foot sunfish fits pretty nice on this trailer for a 15-foot boat. And then we could carry a lighter sailfish or canoe or kayak up top. So, and that's not a bad place. These trailer guides probably, depends on how your bunks are set up, you know, probably about a midships. You know, your bunks may be doing a little bit of guiding themselves. So wherever it is you think is going to be best, you put them here, couldn't put them there, you put a set every 2 inches if you want. But that keeps your boat centered on the trailer. Mentioned earlier, Eddie upgraded us to radial tires, and they ride smooth, they're quiet, get just a tiny bit better gas mileage on it. So yeah, if you get that fun looking boat and you decide you want to put a new motor on it, you're gonna have to get the throttles and the steering and do it, or else find your smart Suzuki or whatever motor you like dealer to maybe they can set it up for you. In a lot of cases, in this case I couldn't do it. It had to be installed by a dealer to so that the warranty would be valid. So Willow's, let's see, she spent how many years? Oh gosh, 7, 8 years in Florida with the sun beating on her. She's got Rust-Oleum topside oyster white on the outside of the hull. It's time for it to be redone. Plus we have a 3 or 4 maybe small tiny leaks in these lap seams and those, but I think what'll end up needing to be done, and now I'm starting to see some plugs translate through the paint, is probably just complete sanding to get everything smooth again, identify any leak areas, and then we'll probably come back at least certainly below the water line with and make sure this seam is clean, and then go in with a little thin bead and a syringe of thickened epoxy to act as a both adhesive and sealant. We kind of know where we had the few leaks, and it could be coming in through a grain-wise fracture, or it could just be that the sealant has failed. And by grain-wise, I mean, you know, epoxy has, or I'm sorry, plywood has several plies with grain running different directions. That's what gives it its strength, but it's also can be a weakness. So if one of the plies in here, if the grain's running this way and it gets a little, it dries up a little bit, gets a little crack, and that sealant's failed, that water can go in there through like the world's tiniest straw and have a little seep inside the hull. Now it is wood, yeah, over time it would swell and maybe seal, but then it dries out again, swells and seals, swells and dries and shrinks, and over time it's just going to get worse. So get in there and fix it. But in order to do all that safely and comfortably, the boat probably needs to come off the trailer and be flipped upside down. That's how the pros would do it. So motor will come off, we'll pull out the extra gear and get it light. I think the hull's about 500 pounds, and figure out the safest way to get it rolled over, probably in a hoist. Just roll it in the hoist. But we'll probably put some bars across. There's a fancy name for them. It escapes me right now, so that when we start pulling up on that hull, it doesn't take it and just make it like an eggshell. These thwarts do provide some strength side to side down low, but up high this gunnel's very elegant, but it's really not thick enough. So we'll put those little braces across in several spots, and that might also be the tracks that the straps run in. Get it flipped over, and then it'll just be a matter of, it'll just make the job a lot easier than having to, let's see how many planks you got. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 or more planks trying to be underneath upside down with the sander. Plus you just can't even reach some of them with bunks in the way. So that'll be coming in the next year or two. But we'll enjoy this season, maybe next season, and see how everything's doing. And maybe I'll be talking to you in 10 years going, yeah, we're going to get to those planks soon. If it stays at the rate that it's at now, I won't worry about it. But she does need new paint, fresh paint. And Rust-Oleum lasted quite a while, but I don't think I'll go back with Rust-Oleum again. Even though it does have an enamel type quality to it, which is good for the wood. So that's yet to be determined. I give our friends at Kirby a call, maybe get them to match this color, or they may already have it, because we do like the color. And get everything else tinted up, cleaned up, put some new screws in that aluminum trim, maybe get a few things either replaced or replated, and get her ready. She's 59, what is that, 63, get her ready for another 63 years. Hope you're having a good one. If you got any questions about getting your boat set up and ready for the high seas, to just post a comment, and we'll let you know what we know and get you pointed at people that know a lot more than we do. That about does it.